2020, it's still 2019. But let's talk about 2020. What is up, Fin fans? We are going to be talking about the 2020 free agents that the Dolphins might potentially be targeting. But before we get into that, before we get into the fat of the video, I don't know why I'm doing this for the fat of the video, some little news and notes. I like to give you guys news and notes I want to talk about before we get into essentially the fat of the video. So the one on Wednesday, the Dolphins, it was their last practice before they went on their bye. You let your team rest, you get your players back, which I'm going to talk about in Sunday's video, which is my quarterly review. Also in Sunday's video, I'm going to be talking about what's going on with the Fantasy Football League, let you know who's in the lead, who's struggling, all that stuff. Full pads Wednesday. Brian Flores is not farting around, as we like to say. I'm the only one who likes to say it. Full pads Wednesday. Full pads, going hard. Now, I know a lot of people think that we're tanking. I know a lot of the media, I get it all the time in the comment section and tweets and all that stuff. Dog, just admit that we're tanking and your life would be better, all that stuff. But you can see how frustrated Flores is. You can see how frustrated he is in that we could win certain games if certain players would just do the right thing. You could see it, especially the Chargers game. He was very heated and animated on the sideline. In press conferences, he takes complete and utter ownership. It's a very breath of fresh air compared to Adam Gase, who was constantly like, well, if people would catch the ball, we would do better. And if the offensive line would... Oh, Adam Gase, he's still doing it in New York, where he just deflect, whereas Flores is owning up to it. So it's really good. But he was mad. Full pads. Last practice before their bye week. Really interesting. Another news, I heard about this and I looked into it. It's kind of true. When it comes to the compensatory picks, playing time is a factor. Now, what I thought and what a lot of people thought is you sign this big fat contract, so we let someone go. Essentially, I'm going to be talking about Juwan James, so let me just talk about Juwan James. We let Juwan James go. He got a big fat contract from the Denver Broncos, which is pretty much a third-round comp pick. That's what we were going to get. But he's been injured, and I don't think he's been playing much, which will affect the comp pick that we get. So if he doesn't come back and if he doesn't play at least more than half the season, our comp pick might go from a third to a fourth because he's not playing that much. So that's something to think about, and that's something to really go into. And then the last thing I want to talk about is they broke down essentially the bottom of the league, because you have to be at a certain percentage, or you have to have a certain amount of cap space. So I forgot who, I think it was Ian Rappaport or Breer or one of them tweeted out, again, follow me on Twitter, tweeted out essentially, because it's Stephon Diggs asking to be traded from the Minnesota Vikings, there's some players and some teams that might trade away big cap casualties because they don't have a lot of money. But then they showed the top guys who have the most cap space, the teams, and number one is the Colts with $43.95 million. Number two is the Browns at $32.2 million. Number three is the Miami Dolphins, $28.27 million. Now, I just brought that up because I thought that was interesting, and then I also thought it was interesting because the Colts are doing the right thing. If you notice, like the past couple of years, the Colts haven't been going hard in free agency, and they've been super competitive. It went to the playoffs last year, and when Andrew Luck is healthy, they are super competitive and make it to the playoffs. And there's been a ton of times that man doesn't have an offensive line. We'll get to that in comment of the day. But we always talk about the Dolphins doing it the Patriots way. They're not spending a lot of money, not doing this, not doing that. Look at the Colts. They still got $44 million in cap space, and Andrew Luck leaves, and they're still doing really well with Brissett. So just something to think about, and just gives you guys an idea of what the Dolphins are trying to do. They're building through youth, they're building through the trenches, and they are not throwing big, fat, enormous contracts at players that don't warrant it. Because, we threw a nice contract to Xavier Howard, but he deserves it. What about the Cowboys game? He has no defensive line, and that's all I'm going to say, and we'll move on from there. So let's jump into what this video is about, what the title is about. The Miami Dolphins 2020 NFL free agency. So Travis Wingfield, if you don't know who Travis Wingfield is, he is a podcast, a writer, a sports analyst. I don't even know if you could call him an analyst, but he is part of the Locked On Dolphins pod. He has, like I said, he has some podcasts, and he's on their website. And he wrote this article, Free Agent Targets by Position for the 2020 Miami Dolphins. I talk to Travis on Twitter all the time. Super cool dude. I'm hoping one day when he's free and I'm free, we can get together. I can maybe go on his podcast. I will try my hardest to get him on this channel because I know a lot of you guys know about Travis. If you don't know about Travis, go follow Travis Wingfield. Here's his Twitter right here. And go follow the man. Great knowledge. He breaks down film of the college players that the Dolphins should be targeting. And then he breaks down film while the game is going on of the Dolphins and what they're doing. Be sure to go follow Travis. Great stuff, especially if you are indifferent about Tua and you want to see film breakdown of his goods and his bads. Go follow Travis. But he wrote an article essentially saying who the Dolphins should target in free agency next year and broke it down in position by position. I'm not going to go into full detail on it. He does have videos to kind of go with an example of why he picked who he picked. I'm not going to go into great detail. We're going to talk about each position that he talks about. Again, I'm not going into great detail because go read it. It's a great article. Go read it. He starts with quarterback. And quarterback, he says none. He says that Ryan Fitzpatrick and Josh Rosen are under contract next season. He expects one of them to be back, and then he expects the Dolphins to draft a quarterback. He is on the Tua train. He's not one that says tank. I don't think he says tank. But he is on the Tua train. He likes Tua a lot. The more I'm looking at film, the more I'm realizing that this kid is extremely talented. But he says that, we're going to keep one or the other. I personally think it'll be Josh Rosen, and whoever we draft next year, that'll be our quarterback duo. But when it comes to free agency, he says no one. He doesn't expect us to go after no one, and I agree. So, yeah. Then it goes to running back, and he actually, when I read this name, and I heard him because he talked about it on his podcast, I was like, that is interesting. Austin Eckler of the LA Chargers, because Melvin Gordon's returning. And then he gives a market value. So he gives an idea of how much we would probably have to pay to get him. $5 million. Around the Deion Lewis, Duke Johnson deal. That's not bad. And Austin Eckler isn't a bad running back. He says, with the holdout, on top 96, on top of 96% catch rate, 6 touchdowns, an average of 6.13 yards per touch, 10th in football. Through 4 games, Eckler is 9th in first down via rushes. So that's not a bad name. And I like that because it's not the top running back. It's not the big guy that we need to go after. Because Mark Walton, when he got his chance last week, really flashed and showed the speed and showed the elusiveness the man has. We still have Cox. We still have Laird. We still have Gaskins. Blage is struggling. And Drake, it's his last year. He'll probably be gone. So Austin Eckler, I don't mind that one at all. Wide receiver, Emmanuel Sanders. Now, in his article, he talks about how we're going to keep... He likes Devontae Parker. He likes Preston Williams. And he thinks that Emmanuel Sanders would fit really well in the slot position because he expects... Albert Wilson to be gone. I kind of expect it too, as much as it sucks, as much as he did really well last year. I don't know if he can come back unless he has a stellar year for the rest of the year and he actually comes back from his injury. But Sanders, he is 33, but he'll be great in the slot. Again, he breaks down a ton of stats. Health has been a problem with Sanders, but Sanders is back with a vengeance this year. He catches 67.6 of his targets for 13 yards per reception. He's 2.04 yards per route run, marks 21st among receivers with 20 targets this season. So, and he's saying the contract by about $10 million, probably a year or two he was talking about. So that's the one I'm probably like, I don't know if I'd go after Emmanuel Sanders. A.J. Green is out there. Amari Cooper. They got to pay Dak. They got to pay Zeke. They got to pay... there's another guy on here from the Cowboys that he has an interest in. So they can't pay everyone. So maybe Amari Cooper, A.J. Green. I know they're not slot receivers, but maybe. But I don't know if I'd go after Emmanuel Sanders, especially for $10 million. I think that's might be one of the few on here that I disagree with. He goes with tight end. And he talks about Mo Ali Cox. who's a third string tight end behind Jack Doyle and Eric Ebron. And you know they're going to try to re-sign Eric Ebron. So that's why he thinks this is potential for this guy to be available. 270-pound tight end, 16th ranked PFF run blocker, 8th grade pass blocker among tight ends in the offense, juxtaposed as a tight end is vital. He sees him being one of those tight ends that can go out, because you could see that the Dolphins want to use Gesicki as, a 3 tight end bunch, and then all of a sudden with 2 wide receivers, then you take Gesicki and you put him out at receiver, and all of a sudden you have a 3 wide receiver set. He sees him as one of those. He's also going to be really cheap, about $1.5 million, because he's a third string tight end. I don't mind that one. I don't see them going and break the bank for Eric Ebron and potentially draft a tight end in the 3rd, 2nd round. We have a ton of draft picks, so I don't mind that one. He goes offensive tackle with George Fant from the Seattle Seahawks, already playing behind Dwayne Brown, playing 6 offensive line behind Brown and Jermaine Ifedi. I'm probably saying I say these names wrong. He says he's not the marquee name you're looking for, but Fant falls in line with the Dolphins prototype at the position. He's big, long, and he has the athletic profile to grow into a dominant NFL tackle. I don't know if I don't mind the signing, especially if it's only for $3 million, which that's not much, because we have Jesse Davis. I'd like to see Isaiah Prince become something. It's the interior that I really want to go at, and he does talk about the interior. And then we also have the draft. I'd really, in that 1st round, probably go, I don't know who, if it depends on if we get the 1st overall pick, but I would want defense and offensive linemen with the next 2 of our 3 first-round picks. But to bring this guy in for $3 million, I'm not against that, so I don't disagree with this signing if it does happen. No, he's even saying, he was re-signed for a 1-year deal for $3.1 million. Give him about $3 million deals, essentially the DJ Fluker deal. I don't hate it. It'd be good depth at the offensive line position, which you always need, especially in the NFL nowadays, because you saw our offensive line has been completely rotated how many times in the first 4 weeks of the season because of injuries. So I don't hate that move. He talks about interior, and he talks about a guy that I talked about, and I remember on a live stream I talked about him, then he got injured, Brandon Scherff from the Washington Redskins. This is going to be an expensive one. This is going to be about $14 million. He missed 3 games. I think he said 3 games the past 3 years, and he missed 1 game this year so far with a sprained ankle. So it's like the injuries aren't that predominant. It just, he says reports are that despite the club's offer to Brandon Scherff, the 2 remain far apart. So it seems like Scherff doesn't want to be with the Redskins anymore. He doesn't want to be part of that organization that likes to throw money at people and tend to not succeed. But, allowing a sack on 3 pressures throughout 4 games, a down year for Scherff in pass protection, would still be better than anything Miami currently has on its roster in its position. In 2018, Scherff surrendered 1 sack and just 1 additional hit on the Washington's quarterback. He's probably one of the top interior linemen. He's going to be one of the top guards. If we can get him for cheaper, that'd be fantastic, especially because, he's kind of banged up this year. Because I like the way Bohm is playing. I like really the way he's playing for us. Dieter, I think, can potentially become something. We got to see what we can get, but I wouldn't mind this signing at all. $14 million is a lot, but we have a lot of money. So let's fortify that offensive line, boss. And then he goes to defensive end. He goes to F.A. Obada for the Carolina Panthers. So it's probably going to cost them about $3.5 million to get him, Barkevius Mingo deal. He's a backup in Carolina on only 70 snaps. It's time for him to start reaping the rewards of the development of other programs. Obada, a product of the NFL International Pathway Program, is part of the fit. He's 6'6", 265 pounds. He has the size to take on the outside gap in the run, but also explosive to win one-on-one pass rush. I don't mind this move. There is Chris Jones out there from the Chiefs that might be a possibility. He might be a pretty penny. I could see why Travis would want to go for this guy. It fits, like he said, the mold of the Dolphins, getting the young guys with a ton of promise that have a lot to fight for versus like the Chris Jones that I was just talking about, that he knows he's good. And then also it depends on what we draft. So it depends like what the Dolphins are feeling and what they're going to do in the draft, whereas how they go in free agency. Because last year with free agency, just to throw a little tidbit in there, they didn't do much because one, they didn't have that much money, and two, they were just like, well, we need to situate ourselves to see what we're going to do for the future. Whereas now, heavy in free agency and the draft because they can. Like, again, when I say heavy in free agency, that doesn't mean throwing people $100 million contracts, because that's not who the Dolphins are anymore. But get the players that you need. But we also can draft the players we need, 7 picks in the first 3 rounds. So I would probably like to get more of an established defensive end, and I'm not going after Clowney because he didn't want to be here when we tried to trade for him. I don't want him once he starts seeing, oh, the Dolphins have all this money. Oh, they have all these draft picks. Oh, they're actually starting to build a great team. Oh, maybe I want to be a part of it. Nah, you ruined it. You ruined it. We don't want you here. So, I don't hate that one, but I probably would want to get a more established defensive end. I want a pass rush. That is what's killing Xavier Howard this year. That is what's killing this team this year. No pass rush. No time to get after the quarterback. I was calling this in training camp and in OTAs how we have no pass rush. And I kept getting told, no, we'll find it another way. We'll find it another way. We'll find it another way. That's what the Patriots did. That's what Flores will do. We'll get pressure another way. It's not happening. He goes for interior, Adam Butler, New England Patriot. He's on the undrafted free agency rookie deal right now. It's probably about $5 million. The Malcolm Brown deal, who also came from the New England Patriots. Talent and production all over the defense, especially the defensive line. Why not? Gotchow and then Wilkins and then this guy. Why not? I don't hate this at all, especially for $5 million. Love the move. Linebacker, he has Kyler Fackrell from the Green Bay Packers, re-signed a 1-year deal for $2.1 million. He's thinking we can get him for about $3.75. Green Bay has 3 outside linebackers in the top 16 for pay rate. Smith, and Gary. After a career year in 2018, Feckler has been relegated to a backup duty in Green Bay. And who was their linebackers coach in Green Bay? Our defensive coordinator. So I don't mind it. I also would like to see what Ginkle can do. Ginkle has been on IR. He'll be able to come back after next week, 6 weeks, and then you can come back. So we'll be able to get to see what he can do. McMillan, there's a lot that I'm going to be talking about Sunday, but I don't hate this move. Depth, and especially for $3.75 million, I don't hate it. Depth. Here's the other cowboy I was talking about, because you're not going to be able to pay everyone, especially you give Zeke a lot of money, and then you got Dak Prescott. So I was like, maybe go after Amari Cooper and Byron Jones. He has Byron Jones here. First-round rookie deal. Going to cost about $13.5 million to get him. Going to be paying 2 corners a lot of money. Too many mouths to feed in Dallas. I agree with you, Travis, 100%. The job that Brian Flores had in mind for Mika Fitzpatrick isn't a carbon copy of what Jones would do in Miami, but his versatility is what Fitz was billed to be as a college prospect. Jones, a corner by day, safety by night, is one of the best defensive backs in football. That might be the splash we do. That might be the splash that we go after, to have Xavier Howard and Byron Jones. Dangerous. We just got to get a pass rush, because it doesn't matter who we have back there. If we have Deion Sanders back there, if we don't have a pass rush, we are not getting after the quarterback. And then our wide receivers, their wide receivers are running around like crazy, and our corners are falling on their faces. And then safety, Von Bell from the New Orleans Saints. Second-round rookie deal he's on right now. He's going to cost about $8.5 million. Too many mouths to feed in New Orleans. Another situation. Miami can finally get rid of the awful Rashad Jones contract after this season without severe puntive cost. After that, the club could opt to offer Bell a similar deal and get better production from the position. I agree, Travis. And then that is essentially what Travis has for his picks. There's a few in there that I was like, I don't know. But there was most of them I agreed with. I like the running back with Eckler. I like Byron Jones. I like the safety move. I like Scherf. The tackle position, it'd be more of a depth position, especially at the money we'd give him. The defensive end, I see where he's going with that one, but I want to be able to bring someone in that will instantly start to get pass rush. Now, these guys that he's talking about, if you notice, there wasn't many that had a big contract. Byron Jones would have a big contract. Scherf would have a big contract, and Emmanuel Sanders would have a $10 million contract. Again, I wouldn't go after Emmanuel Sanders. Maybe even draft a wide receiver to play the slot, or even have Isaiah Ford hopefully step up and play that slot position. So in my world, it would just be the 2, Byron Jones and Scherf. give them those nice fat contracts to really help the team. Xavier Howard and Byron Jones across from each other. It's Patrick Surtain and Sam Madison all over again. It'd be fantastic. But be sure to comment below. Let me know what you guys think of what Travis Wingfield had to say. Let me know what you guys think of what I had to say about the names that I dropped. Maybe Chris Jones as a pass rusher, but that's going to cost a pretty penny. Maybe Amari Cooper, AJ Green. AJ Green might be cheaper because he would cost less money. But again, he wouldn't fill that slot position because we have Preston Williams and then Devontae Parker. So comment below. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you guys think about what Travis has to say, the names he has to drop. Again, be sure to go follow Travis. And we get to one of your guys' comments of the day. Now, this one comes from Twitter. We are having a great discussion on Twitter. Be sure to follow me on Twitter. I'm going to say it again after this, but be sure to follow me on Twitter. Jason Terry, me and him were having a great conversation. We were talking about Tua. And the things that you guys say to me on Tua are great, valid points. And I just give you my opinion. You guys back and forth. Great conversation. I love talking to all of you below, and I love talking to all of you on Twitter. So Jason was talking about Tua, and he was talking about essentially, I'll give you the full detail because this tweet is kind of in the middle of it. Talking about, he hasn't played an NFL defense, so how is he going to do against an NFL defense? How is he going to do against maybe a Jalen Ramsey? Stuff like that. And then he says, this is going to be the comment of the day, if there isn't an established offensive line there anyway, it's not going to matter because said quarterback would be chopped to pieces like Josh Rosen was last year with Arizona. And I had another guy on Twitter talk to me about that. When it comes to the offensive line, it's a yin. I've said this so many times, so I'm going to say this real quick. It's a yin and yang. The offensive line can only hold their blocks for so long, and then the quarterback also has to do their thing to make it mesh where the sack doesn't happen, where the play continues. If you know your offensive line is boo-boo garbage, again, Drew Brees has played with a horrible offensive line, and he produced. Watson played with a horrible line last year. He was the most hit quarterback or top. He was hit more than Ryan Tannehill last year, made it to the playoffs. People have played with horrible quarterbacks and have perspired. Wow. People have played with horrible quarterbacks and have done well. Look at Aaron Rodgers. He's played with horrible offensive lines, not quarterbacks, and have done really well. It's a yin and yang. If you have the pocket presence, if you know when to get rid of the ball, if you know, okay, this is the struggle here, let's do this to avoid the struggle, it works. So, people like to say, oh, you put that quarterback on our line now, they would die. I necessarily don't believe that. You take Aaron Rodgers, you put him on this line, I don't think he would die. I think we would win more games, and that's where it comes to drafting that quarterback. If you think Tua is the thing, again, I'm not for tanking. I don't think we're tanking, and I'm not for purpose of losing. If we win next week against the Redskins, I'm going to be super happy and I'm going to celebrate. But if you honestly think that, we have the first overall pick, whatever happens, we have the first overall pick. If Tua is the guy, if the Miami Dolphins scouting team and the GM and all of them do their research and they know that Tua is he's a John Elway, he's Andrew Luck, he's a Peyton Manning, that you can't pass up on this pick. You can't pass up on this guy because this guy just has it all. Yes, he's going to struggle a little bit, but down the line, a year or two later, he's going to have it all because, again, I'm tired of giving these quarterbacks 7 years, 5 years. If you don't have it from year one and year two, I don't care. Let's move on because I'm tired of people saying, well, we need offensive line, we need a running back, we need a defense, we need this, we need that, we need that. Then the quarterback will be good and we'll get to the playoffs. How about, our quarterback made the wide receivers better. Our quarterback makes the offensive line better. Our quarterback makes the running game better because everyone's worried about the quarterback. I'm tired of building a team around the quarterback. I'm tired of a quarterback needing the team to make him better. I want our quarterback to make the team better. So when it comes to the offensive line and again, I have to do a lot more film research. Be sure to follow Travis Wingfield. Like I said, he does a ton of film research while the games are going on. I don't know how he does it. He's a madman. One day he'll be on this channel. Maybe in the offseason we'll get him off. We'll get him on the channel. But the quarterback, we're so used to. If a quarterback is just a bit above mediocre, we love him and we praise him and we want him to stay. We're not used to having that top echelon anymore because it's been about 20 years since we've had Dan Marino. So we don't know what it feels like to have that top echelon quarterback anymore, and I want it back. So I'm tired of settling. So again, Josh Rosen's a good quarterback, but is Tua better? And I'm not answering that question. I don't know yet. But if Tua is better, you go for Tua. It just is what it is. But thank you for the comment. I really appreciate it. And be sure to follow me on Twitter. That's where I got the comment. That's where I get some comments. I said going back and forth between Twitter and here. I might even get some from Instagram if I post things asking for Instagram comments. So be sure to go follow me on Twitter. Be sure to, like I said, go follow Travis. Great follow. I told you. He breaks down film of the college games of players that we should target in the draft. And then while the Dolphins game's going on, he breaks down film. The man's amazing. Go follow Travis. Also, be sure to go check out the Bit Boys. We got a ton of stuff going on. Spooky Halloween games, all that stuff. Go over, check it out. If you like what you see, hit the subscribe button. Give this video a thumbs up because, guys, we are building a dynasty here. You might not think so. You might think, no, we're not. Again, I'm going to pop the picture up. We're under construction. Hard reset. We're building a dynasty here. We have the pieces in place. They just need to make the right moves. And that's the most terrifying thing. But other than that, give this video a thumbs up because we are building towards a great future. Over 120 million in cap space. 7 picks in the first 3 rounds. 4 picks in the first 2 rounds the following year. We got a great, bright future ahead of us. Also, be sure to go check out DolphinsTalk.com. Be sure to check out Sportscaster. Be sure to check out Locked On Dolphins. I'm not a part of them. They don't host my stuff, but Travis is. They got great stuff over there. So be sure to check them out as well. Subscribe if you're not subscribed already. Sunday, I got my quarterly review, which I'm going to talk about the Dolphins, the good and the bad, the bright spots and the dulls, the surprises and the letdowns. I got a great video planned for you guys Sunday, so be sure to hit that subscribe button. But other than that, I'll see you guys Sunday. Like usual, stay classy. Fins up.